This episode is sponsored by the Twindle Foundation. Learn more at www.twindlefoundation.org.
Let's talk.
So many people stay hidden due to fear. Fear of judgment, shame, or even guilt. You are not alone on your journey. Girl, you are not alone. This is a safe place. A place to be heard, a place to be free, a place to be yourself. Bring your girlfriends and let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Thank you so very much for joining me with my podcast. I'm so excited because this is a moment that I have been waiting for. I know that I've always told people that I always wanted to be like Oprah. You know, I wanted my own talk show. And then, you know what? I came to terms in my own life and I was just like, you know what? I don't need to be like Oprah. I'm Twandra Winley. And
that's right. That is so right.
Yeah. And I want to be able to see what God has for me in my story. So there is no need to be like her.
That's right, lady. I love that.
Yes. So I know you personally, but I want you to share with everyone else who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Shalida Gray. I am the founder and owner of Phoenix Fitness International. We actually teach nutrition and health and wellness, and we get you healthy from the inside out. We also do it through mind, body, soul, and spirit. So we do the whole entire process with you. So I am the owner of that. I also got into a couple of new businesses as I pivoted during the pandemic. So I'm also the owner of Phoenix Academy, which is also helping women start their online businesses, being innovative, learning how to broaden their scope and to really do this online. And also, of course, how to monetize their initiatives and their inventions and how to just do it. So I've been working with that. And also I have my fashion boutique, Lita Bonita, because I love fashion. So I'm just doing a variety of things, but it's all about being a boss and feeling confident in the skin that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? That was just a message right there, being confident in the skin that you're in, because a lot of women, and you know what? Let me just pause and say kudos to you for uplifting women and helping them find their place in the world and becoming their own boss, because it's so hard, especially, you know, if you worked in corporate America and transitioning and just going after those goals and then just being knocked down or facing those challenges or hitting those walls or not making enough money and seeing everyone else rise above you. And, you know, like, wait, hold a second. I know that I can do this. I know that I'm talented. You know, what's going on. So I know there have been a lot of women that have pivoted and started their own business because they don't want to be limited anymore. You know, before back in the day, women were, you know, there were some women that were housewives. And then, you know, we had women that were bosses. But then now we have so many women that are just like, you know what? I can do this. I can
do the dang thing. Yes, I love it.
Exactly. And so tell me about, like, what have you seen during the last couple of years during the pandemic? Because there have been a lot of women that have started their own business. So tell me what that has looked like for you.
As it's great because how you bring it up, because you're right. A lot of women started saying, okay, I see these jobs are not going to be here forever. They're in corporate America. They have some great qualities and skill sets. And they're like, I got to do something different. They're laying off people. We can't work from the office. We have to work from home. Some people can't work from home. So really, I just seen where it was a big move and transition to doing their own thing. And so I love it because as I have been working with women, just to get it started, you know, and a lot of people just don't know where to start. They're like, okay, I have this great idea. I know I have this skill set. I've been working in finance. I've been working in different passions, but I just don't know. And so it's really good to have somebody who's been there, who knows the struggle. I have been through the struggle in just starting and how to, you know, make it work for you. So really right now, just been seeing a lot of women, like I said, transition with the past 2 years into becoming their own bosses and really showing them how and where to start so they can be successful. So just giving them the fundamentals, the foundation pieces so that they can build upon it and they can be successful. So that's what I've been seeing.
Well, I have two places where, and I'm trying to figure out which direction that I want to go in. So when you say the struggle, tell me about because I know for some people there's where passion meets purpose. And then some people are just pushed out into a different direction and then we're pushed into facing that purpose or finding that purpose. Tell me what that was like for you transitioning into, or what the struggle was like for you going from corporate to owning your own business, being a badass in the business world.
Thank you, love. It really started for me because, like you said, I was in corporate America. I was a senior HR business partner, worked with VPs, general managers, leadership team members. So I had a really big scope working with supporting at least 800 people at the time. So that was what I did. I really thought that would be my place in life. I'm going to be this senior VP in HR, human resources. Then I started realizing I wasn't as passionate about it as I thought I was. I think it was just too much politics involved. I was coming home exhausted. There wasn't any flexibility. I was working 50 plus hours a week. And I just knew I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life. Now, while I was doing that, I had my little side hustle of working as an online coach, lifestyle coach. So I didn't really think too much of it because, I just was trying to get healthy on my own. So I was like, this is HR is the one that's bringing in the big bucks while I'm doing this little side hustle, and we'll see where it goes. So it was interesting enough that after a few years of doing the online lifestyle coach, I started making a lot of money. It just kind of organically blossomed into something bigger. Didn't even think that this was something that I would actually be going into. So after a few years or so, of course, that's a long story short, you put money aside. The struggle, I guess, was to say goodbye to something that I was truly comfortable with, comfortable in corporate America, comfortable in knowing the laws and legalities and all of that, and then go into something that really wasn't in my comfort zone. I just needed to get healthy for myself, but other people started reaching out to me and shifting and transitioning into being a boss, as an online lifestyle coach. And so started my own business. So yeah, I think that was the struggle. Not exactly sure what I wanted to do. And if I wanted to leave my comfort zone as an HR person and then, go into something that I had not really had thought that I would be into. So I think that was the struggle for me to realize this is what you need to be doing. This is what you're passionate about. This is where you're going to monetize and you're going to enjoy.
What I heard you say, and it was a lot. And you know what? It was so powerful because there's so many people that are stuck in positions because of fear, knowing that they don't want to be there, but they're afraid to let go of security. Yes. They have people that they have to take care of, so they can't just up and go. Like there's so much responsibility, or there's so many people that are counting on them. So they have to place themselves on hold and then just continue to move forward. But then it affects them in some type of way because they're going to a job that's probably tearing them up inside. Yep. And then they have to deal with that. And I'll just share this for myself. A few years ago, many years ago, I started a career in the automotive industry, and I worked in sales. And I remember when I first started, someone told me that the finance manager made that particular finance manager, because some of them makes a whole lot of money, but that particular finance manager made $120,000. And I said, that's it. That's where I want to be. But no one ever talks about the steps that in that process, what you sacrifice, what you give up, what tears you down, because it's not going to be nothing that uplifts you. There's so many people, you put 10 people in a room and there's one job. There's so many people that's going to want that job because, hey, that type of money is going to change my life, change the life of my family. So you have so many people wanting that position. And then it's just like, what does it take to get there? Because we don't ask that question and we hear the money and we just think, okay, that's what I want. But behind the scenes, there's long hours. There's always going to be something that's wrong or something holding you back from your family, just events, that type of stuff. There's a sacrifice that comes along with those job position in corporate or just even if you're working a blue collar job. There's so much that comes along with it, and people miss that. And I know a lot of times even for myself, when I worked in the automotive industry, I sacrificed a lot of family times. There's times that I didn't go home for holidays, that type of stuff. Even when I worked in management, when I first graduated from college, I worked as a manager at the Waffle House. And so I was 21 years old, and I was a manager leading a crew of 30 people. These people were older than me, way older than me. Why would they listen to me? That was my first thought, but it was just so hard. And the thing that kept me there, even though I was miserable, it was the money.
It was the money.
It was the money. And then now you hear, you see the stuff on social media. People are like, oh, I'm on the money team and the no sleep team. And they're chasing after the money instead of chasing after purpose. Because one thing that one of my professors taught me, well, I've heard this from several of my professors. They said, don't chase money. They said that follow your dreams, chase your passion, and the money will come. And, at a young age, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't click for you. But then later on down the line, it all comes together. It makes sense because the money, it's important, but it's not as important. Not being able to change lives, not being able to change the future of your own future, your own life, the lives of your family. So that was very powerful because I see it all the time. I hear people says, I don't know what I'm going to do next.
Yeah, it's so girl. Yes, you said a mouthful. There is going to be a sacrifice. I always say there's always a trade-off. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to trade off?
Yes.
Because like you said, money isn't everything. And like you said, I was a high earner, high 6-digit earner. Young, I was, doing some great things. I've always been one of those persons that if I do something, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to succeed. I'm not going to, just lollygag and not get to the highest part that I can. So I was doing that. But then, like you said, there is trade-offs, and I wasn't spending time with my daughter. I kind of talked to some of people that I work with about my story and getting into it. And really, really deciding that I really want to do something for myself and start the business was really not having time to spend with my daughter. And those who do know, my daughter is like priority for myself, and not, missing some of her, she had an award ceremony, getting there super late, missing her, get her award, seeing the tears in her eyes because her mommy wasn't there. I hated that. And I did not want to sacrifice that and sacrifice not being able to be present with her. So that's what I had to do. I had to find other avenues in order to do it. So girl, yes, we could be talking about this forever.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? It's so funny that you said that because I was on a webinar over the weekend. I think it was like a Secret to Success webinar or something like that. And this lady's just a speaker. I can't remember her name. I was just tuning in while I was doing other things. So I was just listening. And she asked this question, who's driving your car? She said, are you a driver or are you a passenger? And then she said that a passenger is someone who is allowing life, people, or everything else except for themselves to make the decisions for them. So if it's your kids or if it's finances that you can't do whatever it is that you want to do or to push yourself into purpose, then that means that you're not the driver. You need to pull over and make some adjustments. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, this is heavy right here. It was so deep. And so it made me think, who's driving my car? Who's holding me back from what it is that I'm looking to do or the things that I want to do? So it made you really think, reassess, and reevaluate my life. And she said that you need to have a plan. Where's your next stop? Like, saying what is it that you want to do within the next few years or the next 10 years, that type of stuff. She made you think into your future. Like, what does that look like and how am I going to get there? But at first you need to push those people aside and become a driver, because this is your own life. You need to figure out how to make those things work for you and not you work for it.
Right. I love it. So true.
And that's the one thing that I see people when we talk about, the money team and everything else that these young adults come up with, and then it becomes a trend and everybody's talking about it. And I just sit and think like, you know what, it has to be more. And just like you say, there's going to be some sacrifice, and you have to decide what that sacrifice looks like. And then you have to accept it. I remember hearing Kobe Bryant say this, when you come to terms with whatever it is that you plan on doing, whatever you say yes to, you own it. So, there's no looking back and with regrets, because you made that decision, and you're going to have to drive that all the way through, or else you're going to have to make some type of change. But you can't choose this door and then regret it and say I wish I would have went down that door. You need a door. You need to know what that looks like. And even for those things that you don't know, the unanticipated things, you're going to have to live with that choice, because that's a choice that you made.
That's right. It's called adulting.
Yes, that is correct. You know what? I don't like adulting.
I don't either.
Take me back to my youth.
I know.
Take me
back. Can we not do this anymore? I had no idea it would be this way. So
but
I totally get it.
The most exciting part for even for me, because I've been on a journey, and it's been like the ups and downs, right? And so sometimes that you could be in a season for quite a while. And I don't think that people realize, because sometimes every year when the new year comes in, everyone says, this is my winning season. Well, not everyone, but you do hear it a lot. Oh, this is my winning season, or this is going to be my year. Your year for what?
That's right.
Your year for what? Your winning season. What does that look like? Because a season of preparation is a winning season. A season of preparation is a winning season, because you're preparing for that next season that's coming, and you need to be equipped for that season. So what?
That's
right. It is the winning season. It is their winter season. I'm not even going to knock them. But as long as they understand what that season means, then it makes more sense. And sometimes we just don't know. We just have to trust God as we continue to move forward. And that's the one thing that I've learned over the years, is that I said that I want to trust God with my eyes closed. And what does that look like? God, I don't know what in the world you got going on. I don't know why I'm here in this season. Like, I don't understand. But God, you know what? There's this verse in this song that Tasha called Lennon has, You Know My Name. And she says, God, you know me, and I trust you with my life. That has been my repeat conversation. Every time that I struggle or go through something, I'm just like, God, you know what? I don't get this. I don't understand. I don't know what in the world you got going on.
Right.
But God, you know me, and I trust you with my life. And that has just pushed me into just a different level, another level. It has pushed me it has driven my faith of just trusting God, because I know that the reason I'm here, the only reason I'm here, is because He put me here for a purpose. That's that makes you want to just walk into that purpose and go into whatever it is that God has for you, good or bad. There is a reason for the season.
I agree with you. Girl, yes, you preaching today.
Well, listen, I did
an offering.
I didn't come to preach, but I wanted to be able to have this open conversation that is free, because this is stuff that we don't get to talk about. And so I feel like I'm in my own moment where I'm like, God, there's so many beautiful people on the earth. I'd like to talk with people and allow them to tell their story and share my story, and so that we can all grow together. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a different walk, but we all have a story, and
exactly.
People are masking their true identity, and I want to help people find who they are as I discover who I am as well. So that's the biggest part.
That's how it works, honestly. I love how you talked about the preparation piece of it, the new year of just preparation, and that's a winning season. Mm-hmm. And that's just a huge mouthful. I think for me, even for last year, I felt it was an interesting year. It was pretty rough. And it was like, a lot of things transitioned. I went through, like I said, I went through some ups and downs with my business. I had put on some weight. I kind of felt out of place with, the dating scene. There were so many things that were happening. And I told myself, you're going to have to prepare yourself for next year. You're just going to have to get ready for this new year. You can't say, oh, well, next year is going to be my year, like you would say, or this isn't. No, get yourself ready to receive what God has for you. Prepare yourself to receive this gift. So what I did is I started planning my business, what we're going to be doing my business. I took in November time frame, start looking at things, putting some things together. This is what I would like. I may have to do some restructuring. I said, get your butt in the gym, eat healthy, stop while everybody else is eating all this crazy crap. You get yourself together, you work out, you stay consistent, you do what you need to do. And also the dating scene, you know what? Learn a little bit of different things. Research how to be a good partner.
Yes.
How to be a good woman, not always expecting them to know everything, but how to be that. And so it kind of went full circle for me, because as I was doing that, I was able to receive what was coming for the next year.
Oh, that's so good.
So this year has been just like things are just coming, and I'm like, thank you, God. But it's like, yes, that was, like you said, preparation year. Prepare for what God is going to give you. And the only way you can do that is do the work. There is some work involved with it. Show up for yourself, be consistent. And then as you do that, it's just going to start, your life is just going to align, everything is just going to start to fall into place, and you're going to receive all the blessings and gifts that God has for you. So
absolutely. And you know what, that was so good. And you said a mouthful, because when I went to God, I went to the altar and I prayed and I asked God, I just said, this is what I'm looking for. God, I desire to be married. And I also spoke to God about my business and what I wanted, what to happen with it or whatever. And so I have my vision board, right? I have 5 of those things. I keep adding on to it. And it's so amazing to see how God works, like how he brings everything full circle, even things that I couldn't even imagine. And that's the biggest part, is dream big, imagine, go out, see, research, see what's going on. There's so much more. When I started my career in real estate, here's the thing, in this area, in the upstate, there's 3,000 real estate agents in one county and 4,000 in the other county. I'm in between both counties. So it's just like, I don't want to be just another real estate agent, Lord. God, what is it? And so I found purpose in what I was doing. And and because I found out that there's a lack of knowledge and wisdom. You would never think that 44% of African Americans are homeowners and 74% of Caucasian are homeowners. There's a gap that's been there for 50 years. And it's just like, okay, God, what do we do about that? How do we change this trajectory? Say, how do we help African Americans? And then the thing is what is causing them to be in this place? Like, so there's a problem. God helped me find a solution. So it was just like, I took on a whole different path from where I started from, and I saw God start to blossom something new. And so it was like, I'm so blown away by the opportunities, the people, the networking, just it all coming together for a greater purpose, not just selling a house. But it seems like the more that I move forward, I see my story from my childhood just all coming together. And I'm just like, I would have never seen this. I would have never known. But it's that yes that we say to God, and then he brings all of this together. And so we don't have to go out. People say to me, like I had a conference call this morning, this guy said, what time you start your day? I said, very early. And so it was like 10 o'clock and I was in my gym clothes because I was headed to the gym. And he was just like, well, he's like, are you going to give blood? Because I had a blood drive t-shirt on. I said, no, I'm headed to the gym. And he was just like, And here he is in a full suit and in his office and, looking great and everything. Right. And I tell people I live a free life. He says, what do you do? Because there's a lot of things that I do. But the thing is that I work, but it doesn't feel like work. I'm moving in purpose, you know what I'm saying? And so God brings all of that stuff together. And so it's just like, there's some free time in there and I'm able to blow with the wind sometimes. But at the end of the day, my life I'm not hustling like the rest of them. because
your needs are met, right? At the end of the day, your needs are met. And that's how you know you're in God's purpose and his plan for your life.
There is an assignment. And only thing that I'm concerned about is that God's will is being done. That's it. And I don't have to worry about what this person is doing or what that person is doing. Even if I see someone moving around me, hey, that's good. And kudos to them. And I'm cheering them on, but also I'm just doing whatever it is that God wants me to do. And when it's my time to do whatever, hey, God, hey, it's all in his control. That's it. And when my time is up, hey, that's it. All I know is that I've done my absolute best. And as far as like, when I asked God for that I would desire to be married, like I want to meet someone, the first thing that I did, he prepared me. He sent me on a healing journey. And I was like, what in the world? Look at that. Because the thing is that if you're operating in purpose, if you're doing the will of God and you're not healed and God places you in a marriage, how is his will going to be done when you got chaos over here? Because we already know it's going to be a distraction. How many times we've been in relationship that wasn't feeding us feeding our spirit or feeding us or helping us to push into purpose. If I'm telling God yes here, then this needs to line up so that it all comes together. So God made me work on myself and then see what this should look like versus what people are telling me it should look like, because a lot of times we get so caught up into life the way through other people's perspective or other people's lens. And that's not it, especially
girl. Yes. That's another thing.
Exactly. We're asking God to do a new thing, but we want to do a new thing with what everybody else is doing. That's not a new thing. Right. Not a new thing.
Or our list of things that we feel like God should be doing for us, because this is my list, God, and I need you to do this list. And it should be da, 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 da. And he's like, that's not my plan for you. Mm-hmm. That's not going to build you up. It's not going to, it's not going to give you the growth. It's not going to be successful. So he's always finding a way to do things that blows your mind. And you're like, well, I thought if I did this and I did that, and if I got with this person and that person, he's like, scratch that. That's your idea. I got a whole different idea for you. So, man, I'm telling you, he is amazing. I love that we have that same, belief in God as we talk, through inboxing and everything. Yes. So it encourages me, and you inspire me and motivate me when I see your things, and we're doing things together. So I'm just blessed just to even have this friendship with you. And we've never met each other in person, but how social media is. You always feel like know the person, right? So yeah, I feel like we've been friends for years.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? You said something a few minutes ago about going to just putting on some weight, that type of stuff. And you know what? And with all the chaos and all of the crap, the stuff that was online this week, with the Smiths and Chris Rock and the alopecia, that type of stuff. And a lot of times you see people, they say, oh, it's just this, it's just alopecia, or it's just an addiction, or it's just weight, you know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. And people don't realize how it affects a person mentally. I was at the gym on yesterday, and there was this lady, and she was on this machine, and he came up to her. I was across from her. And so he came up to her and says, how many more sets do you have? I'm assuming that he wanted to use the machine that she was using. Oh, wow. And in my mind, I was thinking, first of all, I had to hold my mule because that wasn't my problem. I would have inserted myself in there. I had to pause or whatever, because I don't like to see, it takes a lot of courage for women, especially when you're overweight, to go inside a gym when you see all these people that some have amazing bodies and they're just perfected and they keep going on. And then, there's some people that are working through, and some people that already had some breakthrough, that you see those changes. And so it takes a lot of courage. And this was my first time ever seeing her there. So you don't know what it took for that woman to wake up or whatever to get herself there. And then for someone to be so discouraged, and she could have said, you know what, I don't want to be there. I'm not coming back, or I don't feel comfortable going to the gym, because a person will find any excuse to just give up. Sometimes they just need that push. And so that's what was going in my head. I don't know what it took for her to get here, but I know what it could take for her not to come back in a situation like that. So And so she's like, oh, I'm finished. And so she gave it to him. So I gave her the eye. I gave her the eye. And I said to her, I said, ma'am, the next time you let him know, you'll know when I'm done, when I walk away from this machine. And she said, I don't know what that was. She said, I saw your look. And she said, I didn't want to even look in your eyes because I know you were going to say something. Absolutely. I was, because that's not right. It's so painful. And even for you, I mean, you're beautiful, gorgeous, and very thin, very slim, looking good, looking good. And so for you to say, you know, I have to, and it's everyone goes through that. Like, it's not a larger person or someone that's overweight or obese or whatever like that. Everyone goes through those emotions, those feelings. You never know where a person is in life or what they're struggling with. So we can't just assume that everyone's waking up and feeling fine. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're so, and you know my struggle. I don't know. Nobody maybe not know my story here, but yeah, I was overweight, 215 pounds. You know, at my highest weight. I found out I had thyroid problems because I had my daughter. I had all kind of situations going on. And I know I was that person that hated going to the gym because I did feel like they were judging me. Mm-hmm. I'm out of breath. I'm going on the step, you know, the stepper, they call it, was it the master stepper, I guess it's called?
Yes, I'm waiting to try that machine, but go ahead.
Girl, that thing used to burn me out. I used to be huffing and puffing on there. You're trying to get on the treadmill. You don't even know how to do these weights. You're trying to look at the pictures on the side. Right. You know, so yeah, it can be very intimidating going into that, you know, to a gym and then having people look at you like, she don't know what she's doing. So I only just got on the treadmill because I'm guessing I can at least walk on there and then I would leave. But it's funny because I talk to, now that I work with our clients, and just let them know that, you know, everybody has their process. Everybody has their journey. You don't look and compare yourself with anybody else. You don't know, like you just mentioned, you don't know in what step and what phase of my journey that I'm in. This right here, what you see is years in the making. I'm talking about, probably about 7 to 8 years right now with fluctuations, with 30 pounds gaining, with 20 pounds lost, with, you know, so many variations. And I tell people, it's okay. This is your journey. You figure out what works for you. I'm here to show you how to do it. But at the end of the day, it's your journey. You can't allow anybody to try to make you feel some kind of way, or you can't even compare yourself with other people. Limited beliefs, we talk about that. The things that we tell our own self, the stinking thinking that we tell our own selves, and the gremlins that we have. So I totally agree with you. I think it's the process. I think people should take their time with it, and you shouldn't judge other people on where their journey is, because, you know, you just never know. You never know what people are going through or struggling with, and they may actually be lost 50 to 70 pounds, as far as you know, and then they're still continuing being consistent. So I like that you brought that up, because I really like to deal and work with my clients on that piece of it too, just to make sure they know that they are doing the right thing, and just be consistent, girl. You're going to get the goal. It's not about just hitting the goal. It's the journey. Mm-hmm. It really is, because even when you hit the goal, guess what? You got to maintain it.
You know what? I'm so glad that you said that. And that is so key, because in the conversation that I had earlier today with this gentleman, and we were talking about building generational wealth. And I said that there's a whole lot of conversations going on, because people are saying, hey, you need to start a business. They're just telling people to start a business for extra income. They're telling people, oh, you should buy some land and invest in an investment property, you know, that type of stuff, you know, with weight loss. Or even I saw something on yesterday about it was something on Instagram, and they were just saying how people were having a lot of plastic surgery, some type of surgery. And then they said, oh, I remember the conversation really good now. So they just said there was someone that had surgery, and she gained more of the weight back than she had from the beginning. Because the thing is that you see so many people, everything becomes a trend. One person says, do this, but then they never tell you what it takes to maintain or sustain whatever it is that they're telling people. And that's the hardest part. This is the part that turns me tears me up because it's just like, you can't do that. Like, people are listening, people are watching, people are following until they start thinking for themselves. So it's so imperative that what we put out, that we put out the right message for people, because people are looking up to you, or people are watching your journey, and then you're sharing this process. And then it's just like, what? But she never told me how to maintain this. How am I supposed to keep this up? Because a lot of people feel like once you hit the goal, that is the end of the journey. And it's not. There's a next level to that. And that's the part why we're telling these people to go out and buy this land and do what with it? Because you can hold on to this land, and then what? Pass it down to the next person? If the land isn't making any money for you, then what? That's not generational wealth. It's not.
That's good.
And it's so hard. So if you go on this weight loss journey, and then no one tells you, okay, once you hit that goal, this is what the next level of it looks like, or whatever, or this is how to transit, then what happens? It's not working, because they're going to be right back in that same cycle again. It's so hard. And it's imperative, again, that we make sure that we are telling people the right things and giving them the right tools so that they can move forward in life, and then be able to share that information, with their family, with their friends, that type of stuff.
Absolutely. Girl, yes, I totally agree with you 100%.
And that's why we need more of you, and that's why we need these type of conversations for people. And that's the biggest part, because there's so many people that, and here's the thing, I've had friends or people that I know, or even myself, my weight loss journey has fluctuated. And I go to, and the thing is that I don't say, oh, I go to the gym, or I don't do this because of what other people are doing. I do it because it makes me feel so good for my peace of mind, because the stress of the world and the weight that I carry just working and stuff, I need that time for me. And I started, I was spending that time with God. And now when I go to the gym, I'm pushing stuff into my mind that's going to feed me as well. So it allows me to do more than just, saying, oh, I'm on a weight loss journey, or I'm just, trying to live healthier. It's more of, this is my me time, or this is my time with God, or this is my time so that I can clear my head and not worry about any of the cares of life just for this 2-hour period of time. That's my time or whatever. And people need to look at it from that perspective. And maybe they won't have to feel like, oh, I have to go to the gym because this. Oh, I love to go to the gym because it's the only time that I may have some downtime, and I don't have to deal with anybody. It's just me and this machine, or it's me and this podcast, or me and this great music that I have going on. It's a ratchet moment, so I want to enjoy that, so there's so much to it. And so yes, that you were definitely right.
It's good. That is so good, Tawanda. It's funny because I've worked with my mother too with her health journey, and one of the things that she said that she did, which I thought was really phenomenal. I was like, I never even thought of that. She would tell herself, the gym it was like a meeting, a scheduled meeting for her. She had to get to the gym. It didn't matter what she did once she got there, as long as she got there. Mm-hmm. So sometimes she said she would go to the gym and she didn't feel like working out, but that was okay. She would just leave out, but she got to that gym. Yeah. Then sometimes she'll go to the gym and she would do a little workout, maybe 10, 15 minutes. It didn't matter because that was her time. Then she just started doing it like it was an everyday thing. It was like her to show up and be consistent. And the weight just started coming off. She just was consistently, and it wasn't about losing weight. It wasn't about that. It was just, this is, like you said, my little time that I spend with myself. And she said she just started realizing that when we start taking these stresses off of us and really just saying, let me be, and just relax, and just knowing, I always say labor to enter into that rest. That's what I've been saying lately. Yes. But resting in that, I know that I'm doing the right things and it will happen when it happens in God's timing.
Yes, that is so good.
All of that stuff just starts to fly. And she was like, she said, Shalida, I've been doing this for 2-3 months, and I just been getting on the treadmill for a few minutes a day. And she had lost like 30 pounds. Wow. And she wasn't really trying. So I just thought that was so that was such a shocker and eye opener for me. And even as I share sometimes with our clients, that sometimes, like you said, it's not just about losing weight. It's about the mindset. It's also about scheduled meeting, like you said. It's also just something that you choose to do for yourself and to show up for yourself daily. Consistency.
Exactly.
So I love it. I love that you shared.
You know what else I feel like, and then this is just my conversation with myself. I feel like going to the gym, like the way that I push myself, the discipline, I feel like it allows me to discipline myself in other areas. So here's the thing. I have a damaged nerve in my right leg. So I always have a hard time when I'm getting started, when I'm on a treadmill. So then I realized, you know what, let's just stretch a little bit in the beginning, and then let's just kind of ease ourselves into, and then we can get the speed up. So I started at a certain point, and then I realized when I pushed myself hard, then my leg gives out. So then I said, okay, let's backtrack and let's just slow this down a little bit, and then let's just ease. And then the next week we'll just take it up a notch, and then the next week. And now when I get on there, I can go at top speed. And so now today I told myself, hey, listen, if we can get to this point, then we can start back running again, because sometimes you just need a little time. Like sometimes you have to be the little engine that could until you're able to get to that point. But every time I go there, I always push myself just a little bit more. Like, if I have this time, like I spend 60 minutes on the treadmill and then 5 minutes cool down time. So if I do 3.5 miles in that 60 minutes, then okay, so maybe I can get to 4 miles. And then now I can turn this into, let's start running. So I think about that because in my life, as I progress, I still think about, okay, I can do this right now. And then, well, maybe I can add this onto it. And then maybe I can add, it's like taking the steps into the journey instead of just trying to push myself, let's just pace ourselves and build as we go, learn this process and see where we are and make some adjustments along the way. And you can apply that in everything.
In everything. That is so good. That is so good. Great information for sure.
I think that it's the way that we look at things that we're doing. And a lot of times we need to process. We definitely need to process. I think that, and I've learned this over the years, because even if I go back into talking about my career journey, taking those hits and those beat down moments. And, a lot of times people says, oh, well, you know what, just suck it up, or we sweep things under the rug and we don't talk about it. And we don't have these conversations, because there was something that I had a conversation with someone the other day, and it hurt me so bad. And I was talking to another friend and I was crying as I was messaging her, because I said, gosh, this was a conversation that I didn't know that I needed to have, but I needed to have, because I wasn't processing my feelings about whatever it was that was bothering me, and a lot of times we walk through life and we take those hits and we continue to move forward. That means that we've coped with it. That doesn't mean we have not processed it. We probably didn't even digest it. We just cope with it. Well, I'm fine. Are you just fine in that moment because you hadn't processed it? You know what I mean? Because if I just hit this for a sec, no, I'm not even going back on Smith. I'm going to leave those people alone because I'm going to stay out of their life. But the thing is that when you can look at a person, you can see, like, someone could say something insulting to you, or someone could do something to you, or you could have missed a job opportunity. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, but that's fine, because that just wasn't for me, and something great is going to come along. Okay, that is right. Something greater is going to come along. But how do you feel in that very moment? You know what I'm saying? Are you fine because that's what you need to hear so that you can move forward? Or do you need to process, say, you know what, I'm not fine. This is how I feel because I've worked this hard for this, and I didn't get what it is that I was expecting. You know what I'm saying? That's healing. That's healing. Processing what you were feeling instead of just covering it up and saying that it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Even if it doesn't matter to the next person, it matters to you, and you owe yourself that. You know what I'm saying? Just consoling yourself, just saying, I understand how you feel in this moment, but it's okay. Because sometimes I could talk to myself and say, hey, listen, it's okay. I've had places where I've had pain in my body. And sometimes, and I had a place where my body thought that pain was coming back. And I was like, hold on a second, there's no pain. Everything is okay. We can get up, we can walk, we can move forward. And sometimes you just have to tell yourself that, because your body may be, your spirit, your mind might not be on the same page. And sometimes one needs to speak to the other, because one sometimes could be in the left field. I'd be like that all the time. Like, hold on a second, we need to come together.
Right. That is so good. That is so good. Which I think is super good reason why you say this, because I think you think about what I talk to our clients about mindset in your mind. And like you said, trying to align it. I think a lot of times we are processing things that like we felt like we had in the past. So I always call limited beliefs. So things that we've told ourselves that this is what we're going to be. I'm going to always be big boned. And I'm going to the weight piece of it, but it actually piggybacks off of what you just said.
Yeah.
But you're talking about I'm going to always be big boned. I'm in menopause. I have hypothyroidism. So this is all these things that we've told ourselves for years. And we really just haven't processed the real reasons why we do what we do. I don't believe that could be a reason why you can't lose weight or feel more healthier. I don't believe in that, because I know I've helped many clients be successful in losing weight and maintaining it with menopause, with, big boned women in their family, with I have hypothyroidism. So I know that that's just some of the things that we tell ourselves when we process it. One of the things that I always tell our clients is we get a journal. And when we go to reach for a certain food, or we reach for something or tell ourselves something, we write it down. Why am I saying this? Why am I reaching for this food when I know good and well this is not supposed to be what I'm saying? Am I feeling a certain kind of way? Do I feel stressed out? Am I anxious? Am I having anxiety right now? Is there a lot of things going on in my world right now? So it's more being cognizant of what you're really thinking and what you're doing, and not just having a reaction to everything. I'm reacting to this, I'm reacting to that. No, consciously stopping and saying, I really don't need to have that. Like today I went to the grocery store and I really wanted some Chipotle, and I wanted all these different things. Not saying that it's bad, but I can go to the grocery store and get all these items and make it at home and save money doing that. But I had to actually process, okay, what am I feeling right now? I'm hungry. I just want something real quick. I want to grab it. And so I was like, no, I can wait till I get home and I can save this money and I can use it to make me something at home that's kind of comparable to what I would get at Chipotle. So it's like I said, I think that's great that you're like, okay, where am I at right now? How am I feeling? And you have to process that.
Yes.
And the best way to do it, I tell them is to journal it. I journal it and
I love
write it down and look through my stuff. And I'm like, oh man, okay, I see where I'm at. And it's been helpful for me. So I like what we're talking about tonight. It's really good information, and definitely some of the struggles that we deal with as women and business owners.
Yes, absolutely. You know what else? When you said that, we're talking about being big bone, and it's just like, oh, wait, because sometimes people this runs in my family, or we have a history of this. And the biggest part about this, because if you're looking in your family and you see all these people that are the same way, you're thinking, oh, well, I guess I'm supposed to be that way as well, because you're not looking outward and seeing anything else or doing some research to see.
That's true.
And so it's blinding, because this is my world and this is all that I see. Well, then let's change your world and go out there and seek something different, because there's a whole different world out there versus the one that you're in. You know what I mean? And so when you start to see something different, then you start to believe something different. That's no different than the person who says, well, I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, there's nobody in my family that's a millionaire, but that's okay, because that doesn't mean that you can't be the first person in your family to become a millionaire. So then all you have to do is go out there and look at these people, find people that are millionaires and look into their lives, because that's what I do.
Let's even dig deeper to that, right? Let's even dig deeper. Why do you want to be a millionaire?
Oh, that's good. Yes, exactly.
Why do you want to be a millionaire? Do you feel like you have to be a millionaire in order to, suffice your needs and your wants?
Exactly.
You may not have to be a millionaire to do that. And so many people get stuck on that, and they feel like they failed if they haven't become the millionaire.
Yes.
Right? And I really had to, and of course, I've always said, I'm going to be a millionaire too, right? Yep. But then I was like, but Shalida, why do you want to be a millionaire? Like, do you really feel like being a millionaire is a success to you or to other people, and other people feeling like you're a success? Is this more for them or is it for you? Because you know you can live off of a certain XYZ amount of money and feel satisfied and great and fantastic. But the expectation is, Shalida, that in order to be a boss babe is to be this millionaire. So it's just some of the things that you really have to really dig deep and find out what's your motivation and why are you really driven to be this certain thing.
The thing is, the thing is that once you get to that level, I bet you'll probably be thinking, well, you know what? It's not even what I thought. And then plus what it takes to get there, because you know how much we want to be a six-figure earner.
Right.
And then look at the sacrifice of what it took to get there. And you're like, you know what, was it really worth it? Like, it was this the life that I really wanted? You know what I'm saying? The beat down, the hurt, the pain.
No.
The mental, the
mental stress.
Exactly. So that's hard. And so even getting on to that level, it would take a whole lot. And there's a lot more stress. If I would say, if someone says, well, why do you want to be a millionaire? Well, you know what? The thing is that I give all of my money to charity. I do. I put all of my money to helping people. Like, I have the foundation and we gave away a scholarship. The idea is for us to get to $50,000 a year in scholarship for the next 20 years. That's $1 million of scholarship to help people change their lives, to change their future. You know what I mean? And so we talk about student loan debt, and it's been a national conversation, of course, all around the globe. And so you see people, and there's so many people, even myself, waiting for, just hoping that Joe Biden is going to cancel my student loan debt. Like, am I on this? But the thing is that the struggle and challenge is the challenge and struggle for the next generation. So it's just like, you want to make sure that we set them up good so that they don't have to face that struggle. So that's something. So when we gave away our first scholarship on last year, the $5,000, I sold that $5,000 myself. And so I put that money into, but the thing is that I sow into different charities, and it's like, it's nothing that's broadcast, people don't have to know that type of stuff, but I sponsor a kid in a different country or whatever. And so I said, you know what, God, I'd like to sponsor a whole school of kids, maybe 12, because there's so many people that need help. And my biggest thing is that, okay, God, what can I do to help? What can I do? And every day I'm trying to figure out something different to help people. And I'm just like, you know what? So I feel like for myself.
So you need that.
Yes, it doesn't even benefit me because I'm always looking to help someone else.
I love it.
Yeah, but there's a level of responsibility that comes along with it. But then for somebody to just say, I want to make $1 million, well, just be sure you want to make that $1 million. Just be sure that you can handle that, because if you're not being responsible for that type of stuff, people are just going to have their hand out and you're going to freely just give.
That's true.
The people that's just going to waste it, and it's not going to do any type of impact.
Right.
And
I love it.
We see it happen all the time.
I love it. Agreed. Totally agree.
People win the lottery, and then what happens? Somebody done stamped them out of the money. They didn't even get a chance to enjoy it because they didn't understand the process. You know what I'm saying? They didn't understand what it took to get to that level. And then when they were able to receive it, it was just like, they didn't know how to sustain it. There we go.
It goes into so many things, right? Different things. Like you talking about the finances, the losing weight, the quick fixes. You get the surgery and stuff. Like you mentioned, she did not sustain it. She gained it back. Mm-hmm. Why? Because she didn't go through the process. She didn't get the fundamentals. She didn't get the foundation. So once she lost that, guess what? She didn't lose it. She got that quick fix to get it done. And there's nothing to deter anybody from doing that. But I really feel like you need to understand the process and what it takes to maintain that. But she didn't. And then that's when she gained that weight. And we see this all the time, over and over again, like you said, in finances and losing weight and all of those different things. But you've got
relationships
too. Yes. You have to understand the process. There is a process with everything. It's so funny how we believe, like, relationships, that it just comes haphazardly into our lives, and they should accept us how we are and who we are and all that.
Why?
That is right. Do your job accept you for who you are? And
Thank you.
They give you an SOP, a standard operating procedure. You're going to have to read up on that. Same thing with your finances. You can just spend frivolously and everything is going to be. So why do we believe that with relationships, girl?
Yes.
We got to get a standard operating procedure on that too. How do I talk to the man and stop being so masculine and so, dominating and, it's this way or that way. And there's just so many things that we are missing because we always feel like we know, and this should be easy and this should be simple. But in everything that we do, in every facet in our life, there is a process. So why do we not believe that with a relationship? It's a process as well. So, girl, you got me preaching to the next.
The world is filled with so many people that are different, and so you have to connect with people and see who they are. Through their lens to understand them. And that's the biggest part and that has been a challenge for me because I know that I live and operate and do things a certain way. And I can't expect everyone, that's a hard thing for me to accept too. Can't expect everyone to be as nice as I am, as giving as I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like sometimes you look for that reciprocity and sometimes people don't process that way. So you have to understand where people are and how they process and have conversations. That's the biggest thing. Have conversations like we're having conversation now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why that's the reason why we're here. This is the reason why we're here talking about it, because I feel like the biggest thing is communication. We lack these conversations in relationship and finances and weight loss and everything. And so we're bridging the gap. That's what it is. That's what we're doing tonight. We're bridging the gap.
That's it. I love it. Bridging the gap. I believe that with social media, it kind of has deterred a lot of connecting, conversational kind of connection where it's face to face, or I think the conversation is more generic a little bit because it's more texting, inboxing, DMing, and not really understanding the person and their needs.
Yes.
I like that what we're doing right now because it really gives you that feel of the person and seeing them and, their tone and then fluctuations in their, their voice. And then I think even with clients too, I do that now where I actually talk to them. We do a one-on-one. I'm in front of you and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And they're not used to that. We're used to just sending you stuff and buying this book and reading this and processing on your own. And we really have eliminated that it's not communication, but that real true dialogue between two people where we're seeing them and we're seeing what they're saying and just having that connection. I think that's really dying since the social media age, but I like that we try to do the best that we can. And I feel like that's how you connect with people for real.
Yeah, I think that social media has allowed people to pretend and not be who they really are. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's almost like you can just turn yourself into an avatar and just be anything. You could just be whatever it is that you want to be in that moment, and no one doesn't have to know the truth, and that's the biggest part for me. And that's why I wanted to have real conversation with real people who aren't ashamed to just talk about situations, because you don't know how you're going to be able to help someone else. I share my story. I'm always transparent. I don't care about this talking about the struggles, because I know that God is going to bring me through whatever it is that I've gone through or whatever I'm going through, and as long as I continue to trust God. But even those raw things that may be vulnerable. And I know that I'm going to have some of those conversations this week, talking with some other people about things that has happened in my life or throughout this whole time that I'm on a podcast. I look for transparency, people that is going to be open and talk about what's real, those conversations that they may not be able to have with other people, because I want to be able to create a safe space where people could come and talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about, and knowing that it's judgment free, and that you're able to just lay it all down or whatever. And so whoever that attracts to the podcast, that message is meant for them. So, and that was the reason why I just didn't go live. It's a pre-recorded podcast where it goes into a space, and whoever draws to that message is just for them. Hopefully we grow into a organization of women all over the world, and we're able to connect and people get this message, and they're like, you know what what she said, what Coach Shalida said, changed my life, or what Twandra said, or whatever it is, it impacts people in a different way. And that's the biggest part. I just feel like there's some great people in the world, and I'd like to meet them. That's all I've been saying. There's some great people in the world, and I'd like to meet them. That is it. And I just thank God for this moment and this opportunity, and just being able to sit here and have this conversation with you. I just knew that you were going to be the right person. And the first person I thought about, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to ask Coach Shalida, because I know that she has a story. And you know what, just being able to transitioning from corporate and to owning your own business, that's there's so many women out there that are going in that direction, and what you offer, it's a need.
One thing I do want to say, and I know we're getting to that point of the conversation, but I want to, like you talked about being authentic and vulnerable. I want to say that it's not all roses and fairy dust and unicorns and all the wonderful little things that we think into go into business and ownership. I think a lot of business owners really need to be honest about that too.
Yeah.
Just because you're leaving corporate, that is, let me tell you, it's even, and then you're going into this world of the unknown, and it's hard. There is some hard months. There's some months where I'm like, did I do the right thing? Okay. I'm like, I'm almost on Skid Row. You know what I'm saying?
God, what in the world?
You think like, Lord, you said that you're going to have me, but Lord, this has been pretty intense. And I always tell that to a lot of the business owners or up and coming business owners, that don't think that it's just going to be a walk in the park. It's not. It's a faith walk. There's going to be some days you want to throw in the towel and say, screw this, I'm going back to corporate America, or screw this is not for me. And no one's going to feel or think of you differently, because not a lot of percentage of business owners actually make it past the second year. If you look at the statistics. Yeah. So, but I tell them, look, do what God has for you. He will provide, but do know that there are going to be some uphill battles. There's going to be some ups and there's going to be some lows. And be prepared for that mentally, be prepared for that financially, and just see how God works through all of that. But I just wanted to say that, because I don't hear a lot of entrepreneurs really share that, because they are trying to be, this glitz and this glamour about being my own business.
Yes.
Yes, you have flexibility and freedom. Yes. But there's some months maybe you're not going to get as many clients as you got the past month, or there's some months that you'll be on top of the mountaintop. I know. I mean, I had some great months, but then I had some months that was like, oh my God. So I think as business owner, I think it's our duty and responsibility to not only talk about the great things, but also the highs as well as the lows.
Because a lot of times people, especially on social media, they want to share the glory, all the good things. Well, I've worked with this person, I've worked with that person. But then what about the times when you had no one to work with? And I've told this story so many times. When I started my business, when I started in real estate, I wasn't ready for the transition. It was something that I had in my mind. Right. And I saw the vision one day, and I drew a picture and just wrote it down, did not even understood that I was about to transition into a business, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't financially. No, I had just bought a house, had just put so much in furniture, all kinds of stuff. And then at the end of the year, I lost my job. And so it was just like, then I had to hire an attorney to take care of some stuff and do all kinds of other stuff. And it was like a heavy financial burden. When I went to real estate school, I sold some watches that were old gifts from some relationships.
Okay.
Bags, all kinds of stuff to make it work, to take these classes, to pay for this and pay for that. It was like, like maybe $5,000 that was easy that I had to invest, you know what I'm saying, that I had no clue, clue that I was about to come out of my pocket with. And so it was just like, okay, God, I'm going to sacrifice and I'm going to do this, but I knew that God was going to be with me regardless of what. And so for me, you know what I'm saying, for me, I always say that it's different because I don't have any kids. I'm not married. So if I fail, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to try it again. And I'll do it all over again because that's how I am. But for you as a bit, you have a daughter, you know what I'm saying? You have someone that's depending on you. So, it's a little bit, it's the same, but it's a little bit different because the decision that you make not only affects yourself, but it affects your daughter as well too. And for me, the decision that I make, it affects myself. Although I have my younger sister, my niece that lives with me. but they could easily go out on their own and do whatever it is that they need to do. So, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of women, and we talked about this earlier, who are afraid to take those kind of
they are
because of that, because they don't know what their income is going to look like.
But honestly, this is why I always tell them that stay at your job as long as you can. Use that money and save like crazy. Don't try to go full throttle, full-time entrepreneur, because, you have to think about insurance. You have to think about medical and benefits and all that kind of thing. Yep. You got to think about a lot of different things that you would normally have with the job. So I tell people, I never tell anybody to jump full throttle and become full entrepreneur. I don't know if you've ever heard me. I have never said ever in any of my videos to jump full time. I would always say work towards that. Mm-hmm. And even when you get to that place where it's comparable, because honestly, I had got to that place where it was pretty comparable to what I was making you still can be banking. You still can be banking that money if you can do both and do as much as you can until you have, some nice savings and things, and then you may do this full time. But don't make it like a quick thing, jump off, I want to be a full time. It's not all that in a bag of chips sometimes. So I just tell people realistically, and just like you said, I've always shared my story. I've always been vulnerable. Sometimes people tell me you probably share too much, and I don't really care. I live out loud. So You're going to get my story. And if I helped at least one person, absolutely, then I know I've done my job. And that's all I care about is, like you said, being able to inspire that one person. It seems every time that I'm vulnerable, that's when someone will inbox me or write something on my page, how I needed to hear that today. Yeah. Then job is done. Job is done. So, at the end of the day, I think we all as women should not be afraid to do what we know we're called to do, but we also need to make sure that we have, I always call it, strategic risk taking and making sure we have a plan before we just jump into it. That's what I said.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is how I know, because everything that I needed it always came. I remember even my doctor, he's the same age as I am. And so when I go in there, we have really good conversation. He always says, well, how's work going? And how's this? And how's that? And you know what he told me once? That if something happened to me, because medical care, like coverage, was very important to me. He says, don't ever worry about that. I will cover you for free. He said, I would cover you. He would cover me. Exactly. Wow. He would cover me for free. Wow. And so that was exactly, and that's and I guess that's just about building relationships and people who really just believe in what you're doing. I've been to my dentist office, and the office manager has asked me, what is your future plans? What does that look like? I said, I see that you're growing. I see you're building or whatever. He even said that he'd come and work for me. But the thing is that sometimes people see more in you, see into your future before you can actually see it. And so I'm just I'm honored to have that, to have really good people surrounded around me that believes in me and my vision, that the journey that God has set me on. So, absolutely. This has been an amazing conversation. It's been a great conversation. Yes, talk about living your truth. Yes, live in your truth. And it's been very real, and we laid it all out on the table. We laid it all out, and hopefully somebody will come along and take it up. Take what you need from it and run with it. Go on out there in the future and do whatever it is that you need to do. Take this seed with you, plant it into your spirit, and allow that to grow, because that's how I got where I am. I've watched and I listened. I took the faith of other people and said, I'm going to have that same type of faith, or I'm going to have that, and I just carried that in my spirit along with the word of God. And I carried the word of God in my spirit. And that's how I'm able to thrive and to continue to move forward. But Coach Shalida, thank you so very much again.
Thank you for having me, beautiful lady. Thank you so much.
And hopefully we'll be able to do this again. I know there'll be different topics and we'll have more tea and we'll be able to talk.
That's right. That's what we'll do.
Absolutely. Thank you, friend.
Thank you, lady.
You have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
This episode is sponsored by the Twindle Foundation. The Twindle Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to changing the wealth gap of African Americans and minorities by increasing homeownership. Did you know that 44% of Black families own their home compared to 73% of white families? A barrier to minority homeownership is student loan debt. Through scholarship, the Twindle Foundation is providing minority students with an opportunity to take on less financial debt. To give to the Twindle Foundation, visit www.twindlefoundation.org.